In a time where coups are spreading across West Africa like wildfire, Benin just faced one. And it almost ended just as quickly as it began. No national split, no rush to support the military, and no celebration of force. A coup was declared on state television, and the nation refused to move with it. It wasn't silence out of fear, it was refusal. Because Benin sent a message: power cannot be taken from a people who have already chosen. And remember, if you want more Africa First stories the Western media often ignores, hit subscribe because we don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. Now, let's check out the details.
A source in Benin speaking to the AFP news agency says President Patrice Talon is safe and the army is regaining control following earlier reports of a military takeover. A group of soldiers on Sunday announced on the country's state television that they had seized power. The attempted takeover is said to have begun in the early hours of Sunday with an attack on President Patrice Talon's residence in the capital, Porto Novo. The group, which calls itself the Military Committee for Refoundation and led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, announced the removal of the president and all state institutions. But soldiers loyal to the president insist they foiled the coup attempt. This developing news comes as the West African country prepares for presidential elections in April. Well, let's cross over now to our correspondent, Tese Makende, joining us live from Jos in Nigeria. Tese, so what are you hearing from Benin about this attempted coup? Because a group of soldiers is claiming to have taken over, but those loyal to the president are also saying they have regained control.
Yes, indeed. What you've said is just what we're also hearing. But what we have to say at this moment is that there's a presidential statement, and I would like to quote it verbatim, that is saying that this group of soldiers, as far as they're concerned, let me take it verbatim, they said this is a small group of people who only control the television. That's coming from the office of the president. He said the regular army is gaining control. The city and the country are completely secure.
Mashallah. So Nigeria is east of Benin. So that's why this interview was beneficial here. So on December 7th, a small group of soldiers entered Benin State Television building, announced that they had dissolved the government, closed borders, and transferred authority to themselves. Soon after this broadcast, gunfire was reported near the presidential residence and other strategic sites in Cotonou, and security forces intervened. So this was not a symbolic stunt. It carried immediate risk to civilians, innocent people, right? And yet, despite the danger, the government responded with clarity. As you heard, they stated that the coup failed, the elected civilian administration remained in control, and arrests had begun. So across the capital, markets stayed open, transportation continued, and institutions did not fracture. So a coup was declared at the top of a microphone, but the country did not echo it, right? So we must be honest. Coups don't appear randomly. They often grow from broken political trust, fake elections, corrupted constitutions, or collapsing institutions. But it appears here that Benin did not reach that point, right? Political reforms were debated, criticized, and argued over, but that happened through parliament and within constitution. So term limits were not removed, they were extended. The president's mandate was not illegally extended, and whether the people agree or disagree with these reforms, the legal process appears to be intact. So when this group tried to seize power with weapons, they were not correcting anything in a sense. They were bypassing what appears to be a functional system. And a coup against a legal government is not a political alternative. It's an attempt to silence the people who have been following the law, right? So it only reminded citizens, what was being threatened, and not the president, but their right to choose. So the real significance here is not that a coup failed, it's why it failed, right? So legitimacy, not weapons in a sense, protects the state. So the government did not really necessarily need a dramatic show of force. It just needed one thing: public refusal to follow an illegal order, right? So a broadcast proclaimed new leadership, but the people moved on with their day. Secondly, here, the military appears to have not fractured. So Benin's command structure appears to be held intact. Most forces remain loyal to the civilian authority. Coup attempts become governments only when armies split, and here it appears that they have not, right? So the violence did not escalate because institutions appeared to have acted quickly. So the gunfire near strategic sites could have spiraled into clashes, casualties, or intense street battles, but instead the state responded with speed and coordination, containing the threat before it grew. So this protects future elections here, and Benin is heading into another electoral cycle. Stopping this coup means that political competition will remain in courts, parties, and ballots, and not at the end of rifles, inshallah. So when elections still matter, coups lose their voice. And we must acknowledge that stopping a coup is not victory. Preventing another one is. So that means that leaders must not treat elections as permission. They are contracts in a sense, right? So reforms must remain transparent and lawful according to their respective constitutions. Soldiers must remain under civilian authority. And economic fairness and discipline in security budgets matter because institutions must protect the people as well as politicians, right? So the goal is not only a strong presidency, it's a strong republic, we'll say. So political disagreement must be solved through policy and not weapons, right? And it's important to note that balance must remain credible because when it happens, bullets lose their power in a sense. So one sentence of truth here is that a failed coup does not save only a president. It protects every civilian who expects a leadership to change through elections and not gunfire. So, mashallah, that's your African Insight for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because I'm MrEmpowerTV. We don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. Of course, I'm Mr. Empower. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.